We gotta rush them. We gotta kick them. What we gotta do is get in and get the. All right, let's go. Come on now. Hey, we'll put the bass on.
What it is, my people, what's going on? It's Saturday. The University of Illinois is getting ready to play Indiana. As a guy who used to live in Champaign-Urbana, the Twin Cities, the home of the University of Illinois for a number of years, and family connections there and whatnot. And want to remind everybody that the former backup quarterback to the New York Football Giants, the great Tommy DeVito, attended Illinois, got them to a bowl game, didn't win, but had a fabulous season. And I predict, once again, I did on the last show, I will do it again, Tommy DeVito, through probably injury to back up, or was it Drake May, he is going to end up starting and doing well. I wish Tommy the very best. Chef kiss to Tommy Cutlets. Awesome guy, an awesome vibe, and I really like that guy. And I miss him from being on the team, and they kind of messed up because they wanted him back and re-signed him to the practice squad. But New England took a good long look at him and said this guy could end up helping them in a real way. All right, so yeah. New York Giants against Kansas City. 42% of me says that they have all the guns, just like I said last week. They have all the guns to actually beat this wounded beast. KC doesn't have all the things clicking like they've had before, okay? And that's obvious by their 0-2 start. All right? And if the Chargers can do it, I feel like the Giants could do it too. Giants should have won the game last week, but clearly Shane Bowen is unable to make changes to the defense when necessary to complement what you have. You know, I love Louis Riddick. He always says complementary football, you know? Well, complementary football comes from looking at what your opponent is doing and making reasonable adjustments to the situation. And the massive failure of the Giants as an organization, as a team, as the way the players play, is that none of that happens. The closest that we got to something that looked like our years when we went to the Super Bowl was this past Sunday against the Cowboys. And we should have came out of there with a W. With 30 seconds left, there was no way that should have been allowed to happen. But it would have taken some aggressive moves, you know. And hats off to George Pickens. George Pickens' style reminds me very much of Plaxico Burress. And Plaxico Burress was amazing. You guys that might be younger people that don't know how that all went down in 07 and in 10 and in the preceding years and whatnot, you got to look at Plax. You got to look at Shock. You got to look at, there's a number of individual players that just came out of really nowhere and just did incredible stuff. Victor Cruz, Paterson, New Jersey, you know, so there's an interesting history that you want to try to replicate in some ways when you're successful in an organization. And then sometimes you move in a completely different direction. The Giants are the kind of team that has always had a strong defense with a workable offense. You know, this is the first time where you're seeing something that we haven't really seen since Eli. And I think that in a percentage basis, when it comes to some intermediate throws, I'm thinking that Russell Wilson in some ways is the more accomplished guy. Now, again, you're talking about time of service as well. So going forward, I would love for them to continue to keep Russell Wilson on the field as much as possible, but at the same time, trying to get Jackson Dart to see situational football while he's standing on the sideline. So if he gets called upon, and well, hopefully we're going to make it at least to an 8-9 season with Russell Wilson, add some more building blocks, which obviously are the offensive line, and any guys that you can get to help bolster the defense with the D-backs and also with your linebackers. Your front four, as long as everyone stays healthy, is pretty set. If you get a front four guy that you can get, off the waiver, free agent, UDFA guy, for next year to bolster that defense. But that defense is ready to erupt. And I'm not sure that Shane Bowen is the right captain to guide that ship, but we're going to see. And speaking of guiding the ship, I love Spagnuolo as a defensive coordinator. And maybe at the end of this season, it's time for Spags to come home. And that's another guy I would love to see be a head coach. And with the understanding of what a great football mind like Coach Reid does, this might be where we get to get a good 7 to 10 year run of successful winning seasons, and Coach Reid, and again, I don't want to go down this road, but I have to, tight ends, and the crucial factor of using them early and often. Even when you're not using them, you're still using them. And the example is they had a 3 tight end set, Kansas had, and then what they end up doing was running the running back. And the Buffalo Bills did it too the other night. And I might be conflating those two. It was the Buffalo Bills with Knox, Kincaid, and the young dude. And then the young dude that hadn't caught anything ends up catching this little flip pass to him, because when you got the kind of football gravitas that Josh has, and a really good coaching, a really good staff. Speaking of which, if you watch HBO's, Hard Knocks with the Buffalo Bills, I only watched a couple of episodes, but what was interesting was the throwing mechanics that he had from college, coming into the league, and how they had this guy come in, and they use lasers and special cameras and all type of shit to really diagnose the physical flowing manner in which all the quarterbacks were doing. And it was interesting to see how they had made some changes to what Josh Allen was doing that actually benefited his stats in terms of delivering the football, long, short, intermediate passes that are putting it where it's hard to defend, and doing it with timing, and also for the way his body motion was for the least amount of stress to his own body. So it's a combination of all these things, and the science behind it is very interesting. I would implore you guys to look at a interview with the guy who, I think he was the head of the NFL Players Union. His name escapes me, but he did an interview recently on Charlemagne the God's show, the Breakfast Club, and he lays down some very interesting facts about the NFL as a whole. And looking at what he said, and I implore you to go and look at this interview in full. I watched a nice excerpt of it on social media, and what he had to say will stir you with anger and show you how people that have billions of dollars that own these teams, they're a giant grifting club. And as George Carlin says, and you ain't in it. All they want you to do is support the product, but not do the right things associated with the product. I came away from listening to this saying that A, either you guys are going to start paying your share taxes, so you pay zero taxes, or B, you're going to set up a very robust system for former players where they have their medical because of CTE, they have a healthy retirement check coming in because of sacrificing their body to this multi-billion-dollar gaming. There's going to be things that you're going to do in the individual cities, especially in poor communities, to provide state-of-the-art facilities for people to learn, to play sports, and to have activities after school to keep young people off the street. And this is the garden in which you pick your fruit from. And a lot of these young men that come from these tough areas and have to make an adjustment to this life that's a very rare thing for most young people to go to college, even if to a D1 school. The actual percentage of young people that end up in the NFL is like less than 1% is what my understanding of it is. And that also, to me, that I feel that if you're going to add more games to the schedule and the physicality of the game, I think you should carry a larger roster. At least change it from a 53-man roster to a 63-man roster. Then with your practice squad stuff and all that, and I would even think that you might be able to expand that. And it's not like you guys don't have the money to do a lot of things. And it's pretty funny to me that the NFL doesn't have any problem telling people about the contracts that these young guys sign. They're in the weight room. They've done all the work through all these years. But all these owners and the methodology that is taken to build a stadium, which is what this guy talks about in this podcast interview, it's money from the taxpayers, and bonds that are sold for the city to build these billion-dollar stadiums. And I don't see the total benefit. Yeah, you got your restaurants, you got your hotels, you got your businesses that will benefit from the people coming there. Yes, but for you not to end up where you are paying zero taxes is it's not correct, in my opinion. And you're certainly not doing enough for players who obviously are suffering from CTE. When you look at the Hernandez case, you look at Lorenzo Neal. You look at some of these older guys that played and they're in good physical condition, but their mind is gone. And there needs to be a greater effort to take care of these players and to also put monies into their community. So that's just my opinion on it. But I implore you again to go out there and check out this interview with this gentleman discussing the business of the NFL and how they get over. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is totally unrelated to football, but I'm a big fan of the great Gina Carano. And Gina and I politically are probably exact opposites. But I defend her right to speak her mind in her own social media posts on her own time. And Disney and the clowns that was around the show, mainly I'm talking about that idiot Kathleen Kennedy, got that woman fired. Well, Elon Musk stepped up, didn't think it was right. Maybe the only thing I can say that Elon has done right, and since he's been in the media eye, is that he financially paid for her legal representation. She won the case against Disney. Disney made a statement regarding it and said that we look forward to working with Ms. Carano. So for you guys, I love The Mandalorian and love the work she did in The Mandalorian playing the character Cara Dune. She was supposed to have her own series, which was supposed to be the Knights of the New Republic. We may actually get that. And in this article that I just read today, she's going to be doing a show from her hometown that she grew up in, Las Vegas, where she plays a legal assistant in the day, but at night, she's going to be uh, Lauren Rain, or some shit like that. She's going to be a gritty person that goes out there and playing like a kind of a female equalizer. So I think this will be very interesting. I think it's going to be a series. So I'm personally excited and happy, and I want to congratulate Gina Carano and her family for the success. And I haven't had much I could possibly think of that thanking Elon Musk about, but I thank Elon Musk for helping out one of my favorite female actors who is just amazing on the screen, always kicking ass and taking names, and that's nice to see. And if you ever are thinking of looking her up and looking up some of her stuff, she was actually one of the gladiators in the American Gladiators, used to be on TV. That was hosted by a guy who used to play football, Mike Adamle. So a little old school stuff for some of you people out there. And tomorrow, if that 40% that I'm thinking about can come together, we will end the day on Sunday with Kansas City being 0-3. So I hope the Giants put their best foot forward in terms of planning and execution, and we put our foot in Mahomes' ass. Until then, let's go New York Football Giants. Thank you, y'all. And thank you for the new subscribers. Please continue. I appreciate it. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where maybe I can actually have some monetization while I have therapy, because this is therapy for me. I thank you all. Have a good day.